Welcome, everyone, to episode 15 of the Total Relationship Podcast. I'm Kim Cochenour, the COO at Form Wealth Advisors, joined as always by my co-host Tyson Ray, the CEO of Form Wealth Advisors. Our guest from the previous episode has returned. Andrea Schlapia is welcoming back here with us for another round of fun. Andrea has over 25 years of experience in the financial services industry, which has led her to become a successful financial advisor, coach, mentor, and to leadership teams and business owners. As the founding owner of Ironstone, her nationally known practice management firm, Andrea has been featured in multiple industry publications, podcasts, and speaking engagements. Today, the three of us are going to continue the conversation around growing your firm, taking care of your clients, and really digging into the EOS process and what it's like to run on that to grow your firm. So everyone, welcome back.
Thank you.
Like Andrea is so special to us, Kim. I just realized like she was our first guest and apparently our second guest.
Yes. We love her so much. We'll have her twice.
Probably more in the future.
Yeah.
I love that. I genuinely am blessed to be a part of your world. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was an easy ask to ask you to join us because it felt like such an integral part of what has helped us build and define the total relationship process. Really stemmed from a lot of clarity we gained through EOS. And so it's great to have you on here and just to help provide the listeners with some tools and resources so they can really help grow their business and not to use the plan word, but actually get some traction. So one thing I think we hear most often from people or other advisors, or I get messages on LinkedIn from people asking about your team, growing your team. Where do you find people? How do you do that? And I know there's some phenomenal tools in EOS, but sometimes people are asking that question mostly because they're realizing they don't have the right people on the team, or they don't really know how to start identifying those conversations or how to have those conversations. So, Andrea, I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit, and Tyson, you as well, the elephant in the room when it comes to the employees and the wrong people in the wrong seats.
Yeah, I think I'll go first with, I think the mistake I made for too many years is thinking I was going to solve my team by hiring the next person instead of, I think what I learned with EOS is to start with the team I had, and then to be able to figure out what that next hire is going to look like. And EOS, again, first starts with not what are you trying to do and how are you trying to do it. It starts with why are you doing any of this? And what are you trying to accomplish? Then you move to the who and the how, but it starts with the why and the what. And so, Andrea, like you're coming in, they feel like they need to hire the first person, but how do you start with the team that they already have?
Well, it's taking a look at what are all the seats on the bus that you ultimately have, and what are the seats on the bus that you want for the future. And it really is ensuring that you're getting the right people in the right seats. So I cannot stress enough to start with structure first, people second. And even though you have people currently in the seats, looking at what the structure is to say, okay, I want a biz dev seat, I want a client, service seat, I want operations, I want compliance, all identifying the seats and identifying what the role and responsibility within those seats is so critical, because you're building the seats for what the business needs. And by looking at it through that lens, even the existing team members, you can say, you know what, the business needs X, and that person is not right for that seat. Is there an opportunity to move the current people that you have to a different seat where they can really shine? So there are ultimately three kinds of people. There are right people, right seats, the ones that, yes, we want to nurture and take on. We have wrong people, right seats, meaning wrong people, they are not aligned with your core values and your culture, and they are absolutely sitting in the right seat from the aspect it's the right seat for the business. Wrong person, right seat. And then wrong person, wrong seat, meaning there is no seat because you're not aligned with the culture, and it's not the right seat for you because you don't get it, you don't want it, and you don't necessarily have the capacity to grow in that role and responsibility. So it's evaluating what you currently have, determining what you need to do, to ensure everybody's functioning at the highest and best level. And that's going to help you to determine what the next hires are ultimately.
So how, and I, someone's listening to this and be like, yes, I've heard all this, right seats, and I've written this out, and I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And so what tools, or how does EOS help me do it differently?
You're ultimately looking at something that's called, I'm going to start using EOS terms, it's called a people analyzer. And now we're actually scoring people on the core values. Do you live by that core value sometimes? Do you live by it always? Do you never live by that? And do you get it? Do you want it? And do you have the capacity to grow in the role? By literally measuring through the people analyzer, it's going to give you data to be able to say and evaluate, and ultimately then being able to have a conversation with that human to say, do you really want to be here? And you know what? Is that fun? Is that hard? Yes. And it's hard and it's not fun. And a quarterly conversation is helping to align people around the core values. It is helping people align around the roles that they currently have. And it's aligned around what is called a rock, meaning the most important initiatives that they have control over, that they're accountable for fulfilling. And if you keep having quarterly conversations that it's a struggle and it's a not fit, it's answering your question, but you are helping to coach up or coach out to ensure that you set people free if they're not the right fit. And I will say that's the hardest thing to do, and people don't want to do that.
Yeah. So here's how that worked for us, right? So Luke, partner, he's more like my brother than he is a business partner. We've been friends since we were 12. We've lived together in college and apartments and came into the business. It's just been phenomenal. But I wanted him to become the COO. I wanted him to take over this work. And we were trying it. And what the people analyzer gave us was the language for which him to be able to communicate, I get it, but then be able to say, I don't know if I want it. And I actually don't know if I have the capabilities to do this. And then start talking about, okay, well, if it's not you, then who? And okay, then what do you want? What do you, get? And where do you think your capabilities best lie? And then we didn't put him in that role. He moved into a different role, grew in that role. And now we're talking about a different role for him because he now has energy again. Because guess what? When you are wiped out, when your team is in a role because you put them in that role and it's their job, and they're questioning whether they get it, want it, or have the capacity to do it, or maybe the role has outgrown their capacity, which happens. This gives us a tool to let someone raise their hand in a safe environment and say, hey, this isn't working for me. And then we can take that person and go, okay, well, what do we need to do with that information to try and continue to grow the team? And maybe that helps us find that next hire. But if all we're doing is hiring people that in any capacity don't get it, don't want it, or don't have the capacity to do it, you're just building a team that you can't, that's not foundational. You can't build on that.
Grow.
That's right.
Sucks the energy out of everybody.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why core values and really discovering those, and again, core values are your DNA. Like, what do you want to ensure that the behaviors of this company and your business, what do you want to live and breathe by? I cannot stress enough. This is not to have beautiful words on the wall that you don't live by. These are not for marketing purposes to put on your website. This is like your heart and soul of the business. And you will hire, fire, reward, review, and recognize people based upon those core values. That's what you're scoring and saying, hey, do you live by this always? Do you live by this sometimes? Do you live by this never? Plus, minus, minus. And then the get it, want it, have the capacity for it. The get it is, do you have the God-given skill to do that thing? I mean, I may, you say, I want to be a brain surgeon, but do I have the skill to do it? No, you wouldn't want me to do brain surgery on you. You wouldn't come out better for it. Do I want that job? Sure, I want that job, but I don't have the skill. And do you have the capacity to grow in it? Everybody asks the question, they're like, well, is it a time capacity? Time is the last factor in capacity, because it's really, can you grow and evolve and continue to develop and learn in that role? And if you say yes, but you have so many, different hats that you wear, that now time, it becomes the factor to say, yes, I have the skill ability to grow and evolve, but no, I don't have the time because I wear too many hats. So now there's another thing called delegate and elevate in this whole EOS process. It says, what can you delegate and let go of so that you can elevate in your role, regardless of what seat you sit in? Everybody can look at where you can delegate and elevate. What can you let go of? What are you hanging on to? And the moment you start saying, just give me that, I can do it faster, easier, better, that's the moment that you're not delegating and elevating. And those things that you are good at, but you don't necessarily like doing, guess what? Those are your coaching and teaching moments to help somebody else take on that role so that you can elevate to whatever gives you that energy and whatever next is. And, we don't live in a utopian world. So you're going to have something that you probably
Yeah.
aren't in love with all the time. But if we can have 80% or better in your love and you're great at it moments and roles and responsibilities, you're going to be more efficient. You're going to be better at your job, and it's not going to feel like a job.
Yeah. I'm going to enjoy that a lot more.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I think that's helped us is when we've been able to identify what is the role or what is the job or what part of this individual team member's workload is not their love language or not energizing them, and at what point can that be a hire, or what point, or and communicating to the team like, hey, these are some positions that in the future we're going to be hiring to, and allowing. I would have never thought some of the people that are in seats they're in now would have wanted to be in that seat had we not told the team before we posted for the job, this is the opportunity, because it helps them see where career paths or where they can grow out of maybe a role they don't want. Maybe they're, and a lot of people at Form, more for training purposes, start in the reception desk, but they can see there's several different paths they can take for the rest of their career that they can aspire to grow into, or have the opportunity to not feel stuck. And part of that also, that I think has helped, and the EOS helps and the tools help, is investing in the development. You said, one of the things that has helped Kim grow into the role that she's in with from a CEO standpoint is the monthly meeting she's having with you to make sure the EOS is on track, for the affirmation that she needs that sometimes isn't always coming down for me because I'm out in la la land, or I'm always frustrated that we're not where we are 5 years from now today. But allowing people to have
a true visionary with that statement.
Yes. I thought of it. Now I want it done yesterday. That's how I am wired.
Bless your heart.
Yes. And bless everybody that has to come along for this ride. But for EOS and for equipping the other leaders of the team to have this platform to work off of, everybody can now thrive instead of dealing with my chaos. Everybody can be affirmed for doing or checking the box or having the accountability to know that they can leave at the end of the day and they did their job well. And it's being managed in such a way that I can check in and see it if I need to see it, or Kim can tell me on track or not on track at whatever it is I'm bringing up. But I don't have to be micromanaging it or causing my enthusiasm to come down to the ground level and scorch the earth because there's not soda in the fridge or whatever it is I got sideways on.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I think is helpful to understand, and because there's so many different tools in EOS that we're still using and getting more traction using more and more of them. We're not fully integrated in using all of these tools, but each time we meet with you, we get to review them and see what we can do to add in and keep growing our arsenal so that we can use those tools better. Because part of it is any new system you take on, you look like you're taking a drink through a fire hose and you can't take it all in, but you've taken the time to actually sit down and go, I know we need to do this. There's things that you can do along the way that make it manageable, so that you can still be successful, even if you're not fully baptized in the orange of EOS. You can actually keep making progress with it over time. And that's what I found to be really helpful. As we're looking at, developing the team even more and growing into the future, is there's always more that we can do to help make it better along the way.
Absolutely, because there's 20 tools in the whole EOS toolbox, but the foundational tools are what is going to make or break the whole thing. And everybody wants to start with like, let's just jump into the vision component and get our vision traction organizer outlined and where we're going. And I'm like, pump the brakes. We need to determine what the structure is for the business and create an accountability chart. And what's a scorecard? Scorecard, also known as KPIs, key performance indicators, or if you said OKRs, objective and key results. It is the measurables, and everybody needs to have something that they are responsible for ownership of. So what do you want to track and monitor and measure? And one of the exercises that I know you guys, we took you through, is if you're on a desert island and your toes are in the sand, and a one piece of paper is floated to you every single week from the cabana boy or girl, along with the libation of your choice, what are the 5 to 15 numbers on that piece of paper that you're giving you the pulse of the business, so that you can have peace of mind? And Tyson, you said it, like, so I don't scorch earth. Like, I have seen you get so much more peaceful because you have the information on the scorecard so that you can get the pulse of the business. And I'm like, I can tell you're laughing, whether I see you or not, but you're like, peaceful, not necessarily a
Yes.
word I hear around
Yes.
Tyson Ray. So you're welcome this morning. But that scorecard literally gives you clarity of what's going on in each aspect of the business. And because you guys are a bigger team, you don't have just a leadership team scorecard. You have scorecards for other functions of the business, so that you have these great measurables, and everybody can own something and say, you know what, that's mine. And I know what I'm in charge of. I know how I am making that come to fruition, and being able to have pride in the work that they do, which is a huge piece of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Well, and you want tools that bring the team along for the ride, but trying to understand what the commitment really is, and what it looks like to actually implement EOS in your business. Because as an advisor, you sit in the seat of taking care of clients, and that is your priority. Because if you don't have clients, you don't have income, and you can't grow your business. But you do have to step outside of it and put some time aside to work on the business. How does that really work when the rubber meets the road of taking that time?
Well, I think I want to reiterate, because you're listening to this. I was listening to this. I've experienced this, and I want it done like now, right? And it's like eating an elephant. I was once told, you just got to take a bite and start. And I don't believe it. I didn't believe it. I struggle to this day to believe it, but I see it, which is, we had to go slow to go fast. We had to almost stop to start. And it was being handholded that we got to do this piece. That's going back to, it's just a process, because the mistake of self-implementing, the mistake I made for 20 years of trying to think I could do this on my own, or just get an idea or get ideas from other advisors, and then I go try and implement them all, and they're all half done. They're all miscommunicated. Yes, we had policies and procedures, but I remember one day we hired someone for our policies and procedures, and our storage system that we use is called Box. Like, there's Dropbox and Box. We pick Box. And he's walking around looking for a box to put the file in, like a physical box, because everybody that wrote the policy and procedures wrote them. We all knew what they meant. They're bullet listed. Well, guess what? When that person retired or self-selected out, all of a sudden we had to hire that position and realized they have no idea what that means. And that's the stuff where all of a sudden traction, EOS, a coach, getting out of the office, putting your cell phones away, and basically picking up the first tool and digesting it. And how is it going to be? Do we understand it? How is it going to be used? People that are in the leadership roles get to have feedback into it. How are we going to present it to the team? When are we going to present it to the team? And it was just it's like building like foundations, just brick here, done, another brick, done. Well, I was throwing all kinds of bricks together, throwing cement on it, and wondering why I wasn't all sticking together, much less it didn't look very good or function very well. And that's where, again, this is a system and a process and a coach and someone to help bring accountability to slow me down, to be effective, to allow then the team and Kim on the leadership team to come in and also speak into aspects I don't see or don't think about or forget or don't want to acknowledge. And that then becomes where the traction comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I will, if I can just say, giving yourselves permission to have what's called a clarity break from all of the messy middle that we can get into and be able to step outside of the everyday. you know eh, I want to challenge you to take, an hour a day or an hour a week, or what's the reality of when you can step away from being in email and technology and client facing and all of those things, because this is like being on the airplane when they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And then if you don't take care of
Yeah.
yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So a clarity break is equivalent to putting the oxygen mask on yourself first so that you can take care of everybody else. Go give yourself that time to have just thinking time, breathing time, journal, meditate, hit golf balls, whatever that is for you, so that you can come to this business that you've created and be your ultimate best. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be good for anybody. And when we're in those EOS sessions, yeah, they're full days. I mean, you guys know we're hardcore, 9 a.m., 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock. We have a break in the middle, hour lunch. We don't have technology. We turn off technology. You check technology. We break for lunch together. We take breaks together because nobody's left out of the conversation. So this is hardcore being present and engaged with each other when we're in these to focus on the business, so that we have such a high level of collaboration and open and honest of what's working and what's not working, and identifying what the issues are. And there's a term, it's called IDS. It's identify, discuss, and solve. We identify what the issues are and dig to get to the root, because too often we just discuss and talk, but we're really not talking about what the solutions are, really talking what the issue is. So talking about what the elephant is in the room, or what the sacred cow is, sacred cow being it's a process or a person or something that you've just kept forever, and you know what, they're protected. So talking about the hard stuff to really then discuss what a solution is. And the solve part of IDS is what's the action and who's owning that particular action to once and for all get it done. And it feels good to solve those once and for all, whatever the solve ends up being, and that everybody is going in the same direction and in agreement with that, whatever that solution is. So again, we're all human balls of energy, and if we can laser focus that energy all going in one direction, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. And it's helpful when you unify your team, because the visionary comes in with the vision, right? They have the idea. That's how the business got created in the first place. Like I said before, you wouldn't be here without them. But helping get everyone moving in the same direction makes a huge difference. So, Tyson, I think it's important for the advisors out there to understand the commitment that they're making when they say yes to something like EOS, to coaching. I'm sure you had your own objections. I know you talked a little bit about, like, I'm already doing this, I've got so many things. Like, talk to the advisor who has the objections to saying yes to coaching.
Yeah, I'll I'll equate it to I wanted to get more committed to my personal health and fitness. And it wasn't until I actually went and hired a personal coach. I paid for the sessions in advance, and I lost the money if I didn't go. And then I showed up, and it was no longer the workouts I wanted to do of throw weights around, right? No, I didn't want to do the stretching, the slow go to go fast, right? I didn't want to stand on this ball and twist this band in certain ways and do all these what I can said are silly things. Like, this isn't how you work out. But it was what I needed, and I didn't see it. But that's what the personal trainer was for. And what the EOS, what you're signing up for is you're basically raising your hand saying, I have tried, I've exhausted myself, and I can't figure it out. If you could figure it out, you'd be doing it. And this is a solution that's time tested against multiple industries, multiple businesses. And what I think is unique for Andrea, and it's why we used her for the coach, is she came from the financial services business. So that's its own little world in some ways, to help us stretch. It's to help us slow down. It's to help us. No, you're not going to just throw a bunch of weight in a bar and do as many reps as you can. Nope, we're gonna twist this band because it's going to help strengthen this little tendon in your shoulder that's bugging the snot out of you because you're putting too much weight in the bar trying to do too much. And it starts with just taking the realization of, do you need help in building a structure so the business could run itself and can free you up to do what your unique ability is, to free you up to be able to enjoy life more, to free you up to have energy for the people that you love, and to have a team that can be affirmed with you out having to track everything or do everything. It's ability to take hats off of not only your, take things off of your plate and allow other team members maybe to take things off their plate, and you don't have to figure it out. I don't have to figure out when I go to this process what step 2 is and what are the tools for step 2. That's what EOS helps us do. And then we have the accountability of the coach is like, are you doing it? And we get to actually do it together. That's why it's a lot of time out of the office for a day to hash through these things. And as a visionary, my problem is I had so many ideas that we didn't finish the idea. We didn't finish discussing what it was and what it would solve before I had another idea. Well, they have a system where we can toss all my ideas up there and kind of vote on which one do we want to digest, so I can dump my thoughts and then pick one. And then I actually can see the progress that's being made on the one that gives me hope that the other ones may end up happening. But hey, we picked this one. We might want to solve this one before we jump to the 5 other ones I had. And so it's just, it's what I didn't know I needed until I bumped into enough other advisors that had a joy that I didn't have and were having successes that I admired. And what are you doing differently? And they're like, we implemented EOS and we got a coach to help us do it.
Yeah. So, Andrea, I want to flip that over to you. You have the opportunity, you meet with a lot of advisors. I know you don't take everybody on as a client, and some advisors choose not to make that step to bring in a coach. So I'd like you to kind of speak into that a little bit, where you see people struggle with actually making the commitment.
Well, working on your business is hard. And it's not what everybody wants to do. And so it's a matter of, do you want to commit to yourself and to your team to grow in this direction? So I will say your team deserves to have the greatest experience possible. So if it's all in your head, that doesn't help anybody to understand where you want to go. That's getting in a car and going from New York to California without a roadmap. And like, we could go this way, and this way, or we can go the most direct route. So the exploration of what EOS is and how it can work for you, that's a very personalized experience. And I'm happy to share that with anybody that's listening if you're curious of it. But you know what? There's 800 plus implementers across the globe. And I am saying globe. This is agnostic to any business. And you have to find if you believe in EOS and curious in EOS and want to experience that, and you find that that's the business operating system that you want to implement, you also have to find the implementer. If you aren't self-implementing, the implementer that's right for you. Yeah. And that's why I say there's 800 plus implementers across the globe. I'm not a right fit for everybody. I always, I said this to you earlier, Tyson, before we started, so I'm just going to say it now. Of like, I'm kind of like salt. You can have sometimes too much salt. So, it's critical that you find the implementer that fits you and that you are comfortable with. And it's just like a gym analogy and exercise analogy. Like, there's a lot of coaches out there, but which one is going to work with you to get the best from you? And so that's a piece of it. If EOS is the system that you want to implement, you have to find the implementer that fits you and what your expectations are, because this is a very vulnerable space, and out of vulnerability comes greatness. But being willing to be open and honest and talk about the hard stuff. Who do you want in that inner circle to help you to get there? That's something that I don't take lightly, and that I protect that, and those that I have the privilege to work with. I am very humbled to be able to be a part of that journey, because it is without question something that's very sacred.
Yeah. And to that point, when we were starting this journey, we interviewed 4 different implementers. And Tyson alluded this earlier. We needed someone who could sit at the table and would actually tell him no, and do it in a way that
You
wouldn't
said salt,
disparage
and I
him.
imagine like a really good road rash and just throwing salt on it, right? Because that's sometimes how it feels, right? Or
It's
it's like
Himalayan salt, Tyson. That's good for you.
it
Come
purifies, it
on.
melts ice, right? It enhances flavor. It can do a lot of things.
Yeah, but we needed that dynamic in the group, and it was really important to the success of it, and the success of the process to have someone we were confident in working with, that would help us get there. Because you're right, it is a vulnerable place. You sit there and you put those issues up there, and sometimes, often, you're part of the problem. You're on the leadership team. You could be part of those problems. You get to be helpful for the solution, but you have to be willing to know when you were wrong, when you waited too long, when you were afraid. You have to be okay getting to that space. So, working with an implementer that can meet you in that space, hold you accountable, but still provide kindness, coaching, and encouragement to get to that next step is exactly what you're looking for.
Well,
So,
you also have to realize that it's like, do you want to get well?
mhm,
Right? If I knew how to do it, I'd be doing it. And just because I knew how to bring on clients and build trust and gather assets didn't make me an expert at running a team of 5, 6, 7, 12, 15 in the complexity of all those things. And so it was basically raising my hand saying, I need some help, but then I need to find someone that can match my personality or my enthusiasm or my independence or my drive. It's not an ego thing. Um,
yeah.
but it was basically being like, yeah, I need someone to help me in these areas that I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you want to grow your firm and take care of your clients, your business can't be falling apart. Um, so, as we wrap up today's episode, anything else, Tyson and Andrea, you'd like to leave with our listeners? Andrea, I'd like for you to go first.
Do you want to create the team that your team actually deserves?
Mm.
That's hard work. And you're creating a legacy, and your business is going to be bulletproof if you look at it through this different lens. And it gives you the freedom to be able to walk away from the day to day and know that you are a leadership team run business versus an individual run practice. And if that's what you're looking for, that's what this can give you.
Yeah.
So,
And what does that do at the end of the day? If you make yourself better by making your team better, you make the experience that the client gets better, because I can tell the difference. Clients are communicating to us the affirmation and the appreciation and the difference they're experiencing because the people that are in the right seats, doing the right job, being held accountable and patted on the head when they're succeeding and being helped when they're not, gives the client a different experience. And it just creates an energy that is relational and is contagious. And the reason we had Andrea on, the reason we're talking about EOS is because we wrote a book on this total relationship that's running off of this operating system called EOS.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you joining us for a second episode. And we will be linking all the ways that you can connect with Andrea if you are interested in having a conversation with her about EOS, so that you can find that. And we'll actually have a special page on totalrelationship.com that you can go for some resources and be directly connected to her. Andrea, thank you so much for being here.
I am grateful for the two of you and humbled and privileged to be a part of your world. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So, thank you everyone for tuning into episode 15 of the Total Relationship Podcast. If you haven't already, please click and follow to subscribe so you know when new episodes are available. Episodes are available every other Tuesday. And please check out the description links below for the resources today, especially how to connect with Tyson, Andrea, and I on LinkedIn, and all the resources so you can start your conversation with Andrea or another EOS implementer in your area. Until next time.